Hi, my name's Angel. I am a Palawa woman from Lutruwita or Tasmania. I run Break the Cycle, and I also study counselling at university.
For people to watch this footage, I want them to remember that this is a young boy, not a man, a kid.
We're dealing with some of the most marginalised juveniles within our state. They need assistance, they need support, they need rehabilitation, and most importantly, they need support through staff, and they're not getting that.
At Break the Cycle, we're trying to do direct, non-violent action against the McGowan government to take accountability for what's happening to children in juvenile detention centres, more specifically Banksia Hill. We're so surprised when the Four Corners episode came out about Banksia Hill that this wasn't general public knowledge, and for me personally, I assumed it was because my family members have been through that, and I also assumed that since it was my uncles and my grandfather and stuff, that maybe something had changed, but obviously it hasn't. So what's happening in a very brief way is that children from 10 to 17 are being locked up. They are being taken away from their families. They are being isolated in their cells for months. They are only being let out for less than an hour a day just to shower and go to the toilet. For the children that are a bit luckier, who aren't going into isolation, they are still only receiving approximately 1 hour of education a day. They are not having easy access to their parents. The children there are experiencing corporal punishment, and that's just a few things that are going wrong. The problem with this is that there is this thing called the Mandala human rights, which are the human rights of prisoners. There's something else called the Havana human rights, which are the human rights of children in juvenile detention centres. And there are the Australian human rights. And an inspection report done into Banksia Hill just last year said that all the human rights across the board are being violated, and that the children are being abused and neglected, and they're not receiving medical attention, they're not receiving mental health care. I think children that are ending up in Banksia Hill, more often than not, are suffering from some sort of intergenerational trauma. Banksia Hill is designed as a prison, not a rehabilitative environment. It is cheaper for the government to put people into mental health facilities than it is to put children away in prisons. Violations that are occurring, there have been hundreds of complaints from different detainees that haven't even been investigated or looked into. Children are not being allowed outside. They're not being allowed to contact their parents. They are not having access to education. They are being physically and emotionally abused by the guards. Are not always getting sent for anything justifiable. A few weeks ago, it was even on the front page of The West, a 14-year-old girl got sent to Banksia Hill for refusing a strip search from the police, who thought that she might have drugs or something on her. Actually, lots of the children in there are being held on remand, so they haven't even been convicted of anything, so they're being thrown into cruel and abusive environment for nothing necessarily. It's very hard to get this point across, the message that human rights to children are being violated when we do live in a very capitalist and colonialist society. Many people think did the crime do the time? The problem is, especially the adults of Australia, it is an adult's inherent responsibility to protect children. If you want children to stop going to juvie, if you want to give them a good chance, then it's time to speak up, because this could very easily be your child. Children are getting sent to Banksia Hill or other juvenile detention centres for being out past curfew, for stealing lollies from an IGA more than 3 times, Everyone thinks that it won't be my kid, but it might be. We encourage anyone that wants to help us and feels passionate and driven or interested to come help us. You can email us, you can slide into our DMs, you can message us on Facebook. We've got all the socials. Hit us up.